Alright, this is going to be our in-depth discussion, scene-by-scene breakdown of 1984.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wes Craven.
Classic.
You know how we do it by now. We got Elm and JBM here. I'm the one with the annoying voice.
And I'm the one...
we got a lot to go through. This movie, he's the one that's stupid and doesn't say shit half the time.
Yeah, that's me. Alright, let's do it. So let's break it down scene by scene. Nightmare on Elm Street. Scene 1 starts off with the freaking credits rolling. The freaking
Hold up,
music.
they leave it up to interpretation of. So this is our comprehension of the movie and the scenes that stuck out to us. All right, let's jump into it.
Nah, he's making the glove. Freddy is.
No, they show the original old school New Line in red.
Oh yeah, it's dope.
Which is what you were about to say. And
That's
then it
alright.
starts playing the theme, the classic theme that we're playing
also,
now.
While it's cutting to him making the glove, and then it's like Wes Craven film, and then it's like
I
oh,
just
Nightmare
love the
on Elm
dark
Street.
feeling
And you're
throughout
like-
this whole movie.
You're like,
This is one of the scariest movies ever if you're a kid. Especially if you're an 80s or
so then
90s
it
kid
cuts
growing
to the
up watching
chick,
these
though.
movies.
Cuts to the chick like running, and she's like, it's like obviously a dream.
Yeah,
She's
the opening dream sequence, and then she goes into the warehouse.
And then it's like her fake running, like freaking like. Cause
She's
like,
running in place to stay in the camera shot.
I know, like
So
it's
obvious.
so pathetic. You're like, wow.
While they're doing the credits, and
They're
it's
like,
just
it looks
like
good, it looks
introducing Johnny Depp.
They didn't have treadmills back then, so they couldn't freaking like do it good.
No, then they start playing. So then they don't show Freddy at all in there. They don't show his face or anything. You just kind of hear his creepy voice. And I gotta say this for the record now: Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund's voice is just amazing throughout it.
Oh,
It doesn't even
he's a
sound like
legend.
the others throughout it. This is
He's a
like the
legend.
best. His best performance of Freddy
Krueger.
Krueger. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The
So
sound.
anyway, she wakes
his voice
up.
is so
it's
creepy and
freaking
scary.
dream.
So yeah, then they do the 1-2 Freddy song of the
Takes
girls.
the crucifix off.
So
the
then,
wall.
yeah, they do the 1-2 Freddy song of all the girls playing hopscotch and everything, implying that
Yeah.
Freddy likes young girls. And then we get introduced to the main cast intro. No, and then they pull up. No, they go to school. They go to Springwood High.
They show up at the high school, and it's like a freaking
It's supposed to be in
prop, like,
Ohio, but it's in California.
No, it's like a prop, like freaking his dad's car, like automobile, like a freaking.
I know,
like,
they don't even
sports
go
car.
to the school parking
Like,
lot.
oh, we
It's
just
just
park
like
right in
them
front.
rolling up and
We're the
parking
only
right in
one.
front of the high school for.
Anyways, total script going.
Total
so
setup
we're gonna
shot.
meet the cast, freaking the bad boy greaser, the 50s greaser.
She's like, and under their breath, it's kind of like they start talking about, hey, I had a bad dream. And then Heather's like, oh yeah, I had a bad dream also, by the way. Huh. I had a... And then the one guy, the greaser, the hard ass, is just like, he's just like, I had a hard on last night with your name on it.
Oh yeah. He's like, yeah. So are we gonna hang out later on tonight?
Anyway, it's no biggie. Everyone has dreams. No, then Johnny Depp like runs into the school because he hears the bell ringing, and he's like the
Oh,
only
yeah.
one, and it's just all the extras walking around.
Oh yeah, freaking the bell
He's the
rings.
only one
He's
that
the only one
cares.
who cares about being late for class. He's like, oh, he runs in.
He's sober
freaking the
as hell
chicks are like,
throughout the movie.
the chick's like, yeah, it was just a dream. Yeah, it's okay. Anyways, so then it skips from there.
So then it cuts to the night scene, and it's
We're
Johnny.
oh yeah, it's Johnny.
They're all at the
the
blonde's
chick's house. Yeah.
Tina's house, and it's Johnny Depp like talking to his mom.
Ike and Tina.
And it's Johnny Depp talking to his mom like,
Oh yeah, no, this is like the classic '80s thing to do. Like, whereas like in freaking Bueller,
no,
What's
the
it called?
freaking like TV show's playing in the background. He's like,
No.
oh mom, it's just some drag
no,
race.
it's just cassette tape on the '80s freaking boombox, and he's freaking. That's what every kid did like back then, like freaking play
So they
sound
mix
effects
some
when they're on the
80s
phone.
humor in there, and he's just like, a dream. She's like, no. And then Heather's like, no, I dreamed about a guy too. He had a dirty green and red sweater.
Yeah.
Of course, Mr. Creepshow has nothing to add on to that.
No.
No, so they notice that they have the same
This
dreams.
is where the girls are talking. They notice.
They
And
talk
Johnny
about it
Depp's,
specifically.
Johnny Depp's listening in on it, and he kind of notices because he had a dream too, and he's like listening to him. But he comes over
He
with like
doesn't tell him that
with a
either.
bowl of food, and he's like, "That's crazy." He's like, "No way you can have two."
No, so then they decide to go to the suspense hearing noise
Oh, yeah.
because the
Total
final
filler,
actor, you
no.
know, it's the actor who
Fills
isn't
in-
even there.
Yeah, the greaser bad
who's
boy.
coming into the
so
scene.
freaking they go to the
'cause he's part of the
backyard.
main
It's total
cast.
filler of like 3 or 4 minutes of them getting to the backyard.
No, then the jump scare is him tackling Johnny Depp. So then
no,
the cast
before that though, Johnny Depp's like, no, he says the line. He's like, "I'm gonna punch your lights out, whoever you are."
Of course you're late.
It's
on delivering
freaking
that
hilarious.
line. So then the cast talks in the backyard, and they're like, No, then the guy pulls out a knife
Pocket knife.
on Johnny Depp.
Total 50 greaser style, and he's
Like
like,
the Sharks against the freaking whatever the freaking movie is, and the Outsiders. So they make him that character. So then so then like, oh, they're fighting. Him and his girlfriend Tina are fighting.
but
So
him
they
and
go
the
into the
50
house.
greaser go in the house,
And then Johnny
freaking
Depp tries to put
tries
some
to
moves
make out
on
with
Heather.
freaking Nancy.
Yeah.
And freaking, she's like, no, we're here for Tina. She had a bad dream.
I know. So yeah, they're all wasting their Friday night on.
And then Johnny Depp's like, wow, I can't believe what I'm doing.
No, then it cuts to later that night.
Oh yeah, no, it cuts to Johnny Depp like
and
laying
he's
there
like
on the
passed
couch,
out sober.
and he's hearing freaking them banging in the next door
No,
room
it's
over,
like loudly them effing.
and freaking he's like, wow.
And he's like,
reality
reality sucks. It's a good line for this type of movie, the dream world, and he's talking about reality.
Anyway, so freaking.
And then it just shows beautiful cinematography of later that night.
No, it cuts out to the outside shots of the house,
and
then
the
it moves
scary
up,
theme
and
playing.
it moves up. The camera moves up to the upstairs window where she's at, and she's looking out. Because she's waking up, but it's in the middle of her dream. Is actually what it is.
So let's go to it cuts to the blonde girl dreaming. No, and then also Nancy's having a dream. It barely shows this. They did a terrible job of showing this, and it's like 80 CGI of him coming out
for
the
like
wall.
a split moment, of the guy coming above the wall, stretching out all.
So they don't elaborate on that, and it cuts back to Tina, and then it's just like Freddy, like it's just like excerpts of like Freddy talking Robert Englund, and he's just like, Tina, take off your clothes.
Oh yeah, he's like, Tina.
Like the Aladdin scene or
She's
something
like,
from
who's
Disney.
out there? She turns on the back porch, like goes outside.
His voice is just
He's like,
perfect in
Tina.
this.
Tina.
And then it cuts to the famous alley scene, as you know, with the Freddy long
this is
arms.
where you first see Freddy Krueger for the first time. He's got
Just
the
totally
classic
looks like a
long
prop,
arms.
but it's
oh yeah,
tight.
it looks hilarious.
It's just become iconic over time.
And then he does the classic run towards her, and he looks like the freaking leprechaun, like running.
He looks like Big Bird or something,
Looks
like a
freaking
Sesame
hilarious.
character. No, then he does the cut off his fingers scene. That
Oh
was
yeah,
tight,
he
too.
shows her, he looks at her, and he freaking cuts the fingers.
No,
and
then he
splits
does
out
the
goo.
80s. Then she goes to grab his face or something because she's dreaming, and it does the 80s prop ripped off
Oh, it
his face,
shows
and it
his
looks
skull.
badass.
Shows like a
As a
skull.
horror fan, you just love it. I fucking
Also,
love
before
watching
that,
this
he
movie.
jumps from behind the
You gotta
tree.
watch this movie in September, Halloween season.
It's pretty
It's
dope.
that good.
Pretty dope. So then freaking the boyfriend wakes up.
That's what
and
he says.
he's like,
This is God. He
No,
says that line.
this is when
No,
the-
and it cuts to reality, and her
yeah,
boyfriend.
the boyfriend's looking at her, and she's like all moving in the bed, shaking, and then freaking she gets cut, and the freaking cuts
It
all
says,
at her.
you
and it's
know,
like,
it takes her all the way up the ceiling
yeah,
and
the
everything.
freaking, like it's freaking like exorcism or something, freaking going up the freaking wall and everything.
No, then he runs out of there without even grabbing
Oh, yeah,
his
the
cigarettes
Nancy
or
comes in there,
anything.
and they're
He
like-
doesn't even grab his
they open
shoes.
the
He just
door.
puts on his leather jacket.
Yeah, he's just yelling. He's like, "What, Nancy?" He's like, "Oh no, Tina, and Tina."
You won't believe me. So
he hops out
he's
the
just
window
like, I'm
and
gonna
just
get
leaves.
blamed for this or whatever. No, so then it cuts to the cop scene, and he's just like, the cops are talking about the crime scene. They're like, father abandoned this blonde bitch 10 years ago. And you're like, that's figures. That's a typical American family, you know. Father like bangs some wife and they
Wow.
have kids. And then
Wow.
and then it
Typical
ends up being a
JVN
daughter, so he doesn't want the
thing to say.
responsibility, so he just bails on him. And he's just like, yeah, the moms are gone too. You have
No, he's
anything?
like, the mother's in Vegas, and he's like, we're trying to contact
No,
her
then the
now.
cop notices that his daughter was there too. So of course they have that tie-in script convenience.
he's
Like,
like,
hey,
"What were you
Nancy's
doing there,
dad,
Nancy?"
he's the cop,
Yeah,
the
and
head
she's
cop
like,
of
"What were you
Springwood.
doing there, Nancy?"
No, then Nancy's acting's pretty terrible throughout this. I gotta
Oh
say.
yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Then sometimes it's alright. Then the other times it's just like, what?
Anyway, so her dad tells her to get
So then
some
it cuts
sleep.
to the
cuts
next
the next
day.
morning.
Nancy
Freaking-
didn't sleep.
Nancy didn't sleep. She's talking to her mom. She's
They
like
show the
she's drinking
80s
coffee.
TV. I love the inside, the interior of the houses throughout this movie. It's pretty tight. Perfect 80s setting. Anyway, so then she goes to school. She's like, I'm alright. My best friend just got brutally murdered, but I'm going to school this day.
So then she starts walking to school, and she like knows some guy that's like a cop like found her, that her dad like had or something. But then he disappears, and then she gets grabbed in the bushes by the freaking the boyfriend that ran off the
it
greaser.
starts turning into
50s
like an
greaser.
exploitation movie scene right here. He tackles her into the
And
weeds.
he's like, I didn't kill her. She's like,
In the remake, they did it kind of better. How he went straight to Nancy's house that night after the killing. In this, it's like the the next day. So he was out all night, like getting bit by mosquitoes up the ass.
And he's like, they're gonna kill me.
And he still has no shoes on.
Wow. Oh yeah, he's complete barefoot too. He's
So
freaking
sick.
tired. Anyway, so freaking, he's like, he's gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me, aren't they? And she's like, nobody's gonna kill you.
And he goes to run away, and then the cops get him,
And
arrest
then her
him.
dad's just right there, like out of nowhere, and he's like, hands up, buddy.
Hands above the cupboards.
Hands above the covers.
No, and he looks like Al Michaels, the famous sports
No, and then he
announcer.
runs out, and then the cops are all around him, surrounding him, and he's just like, all right, okay, I give up, dude, I give up. And they're like, oh, what's this, a pocket knife? Oh.
Of course, then it cuts to
They're like, what are we gonna do with
later
this?
that day, and it's just like,
They're like, oh, an 80s switchblade?
no, then it cuts to Nancy at high school, and of course they do the 80s Shakespeare classroom scene.
Like every 80s movie, they always have to have the Shakespeare
Like-
class scene.
Wes Craven's like, yeah, you're deep if you put a Shakespeare scene
Nah,
into
it's
your
good
movie.
filler. It's good filler. We can waste 5
Hey, you're
minutes.
deep if you
5 minutes
listen to
filming that.
Coldplay and put Shakespeare scenes into your movies.
Anyways, this is the tight part though, because she's in sleep listening to Shakespeare and she falls asleep, and then she looks over and sees Tina
She's
in the
having
body bag.
daydreams.
No, she sees it in the body bag, all bloody.
Everyone
it's tight as heck.
daydreams in school.
Nah, and then she freaking gets up and walks out the hallway and sees the body bag
These are
getting
pretty
dragged.
scary.
Yeah,
It's
this
pretty
dude, if you're a
tight.
kid watching this, dude, nah, it's dragged. It's the blood all being dragged, dude. It's tight.
So then it goes on to more filler
And
of
she goes
still
down
in
the
Nancy's
yeah,
dream.
she goes down the
She-
hallway.
Then
and
she goes
runs
into the
she
iconic
runs-
boiler room, of course.
Yeah, she runs to, yeah, but before that, she runs into like Freddy as like a little like hallway pass girl, and she's like, don't forget your hall pass. And it's freaking Freddy.
that was kind of gay.
Yeah, but if you're a kid, dude, you'd be freaked out.
Anyway, so she's like, "Who are you?" And then it goes to this '80s beat. No, and they do these like 80s electro
suspense
beats, like
Thriller
early
beats.
electro music beats. It's pretty tight. You gotta love the themes. Like they do a bunch of different ones. It's pretty sweet. So anyway, no, she's like, "Who are you?" And Freddy slices
Oh,
his
yeah,
nipple
it's
as
Freddy
an
Krueger.
answer.
And
He doesn't even
oh,
say
yeah,
anything.
He lifts up his shirt and
He
cuts
doesn't even
it.
say
No,
anything
this is tight,
smarter,
though,
wittier.
because it's
comical.
freaking like a yellow-green ooze
He isn't
coming
comical
out.
at all in this movie,
No, it's a
which is
yellow-
what he was intended to be. It's
It's
scary.
a yellow-green ooze coming out. It's got maggots. It's tight when he cuts himself when he does that, though.
And he's like, "Come to Freddy." Awesome. So then it cuts to, no, she wakes up. Of course, she wakes up and flips out in the classroom, of course, in the middle of her
and
dream.
it's
Didn't see
retired.
that
The
coming.
teacher says to her, the first thing she says to her is, "I'll call your mother."
I know, like a total line. She doesn't say anything else. No,
And then she's like, "I'll walk home."
then
it's
also
okay."
there's a black guy with like a 70s
Nah,
afro.
then the
He's
teach-
totally stuck in the 70s and it's 1984.
No, and the teacher's
83.
like, "You're gonna need a hall pass," because she walks out.
So yeah,
She's going
so then she runs outside and it's
pretty
Springwood
funny.
High. It's pretty tight, and she notices that she has a bruised arm from the dream. She's like, "What?" So
Yeah.
anyway,
She got burnt in the
so she
boiler
goes
room.
to the, she goes to talk to the Tina's boyfriend at the cop station.
Oh yeah, she's on the way home.
and he
freaking
was
she
like, "It was
stops-
invisible razors. What do you want me to tell?" He's just one of those hard-headed kids where you can't even get an answer out of. Kind of like Elm St over here.
Wow.
Like goes into shutdown mode. Like,
Wow.
what? I'm retarded. What? I can't
Anyways,
explain
so
something simple.
Nah, so the 50s greaser's like, yeah, the guy had razors for for a hand. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, man.
He's
I
like,
had a
I've been having nightmares too, of course.
And then the freaking cop just like comes in. He's like, all right, get thumbs up.
No, so then the cop let's yeah. So why the cop let the boss's
16-year-old
daughter
chick
into the room with
To
the
the
murder
murder
suspect?
suspect.
She
Really
knocks
makes
on the
sense.
door like, okay, let me out. No one was even watching. It makes even though it was in the middle of the day, it made no sense. Anyway, it cuts to the infamous bathtub scene with Freddy's hand,
Oh, hold up. Also, when she's
and it
freaking-
comes out of her vajayjay, and you're like.
No, it's pretty tight though, cause freaking, she's like in the tub, and you don't expect it, and it's Freddy's hand coming out. It's dope.
That scene has also become iconic over the year. No, then he goes on to drown her. And then she starts calling for her mommy, and she's
she
like,
gets
"Mommy,
pulled down
mommy."
into like a total like tank.
So her
They
mom
filmed
lets
it
her in. Basically, she woke up, and she's like, "Oh, I'm okay.
Oh, I'm okay.
No, nothing to worry about.
So
I've
are
only
you
been
okay?"
having terrifying nightmares that no one's ever experienced before in their life.
Only
And
having Freddy attack
my
me."
best friend just got killed after she
Alright,
lost her virginity.
We'll come back to this part.
We're gonna go to part 2
of Nightmare
Mr.
on Elm
Creep
Street.
Show, 09, JBM 2005,
Part 2, Nightmare on Elm Street.
1984.